How do you convey your competitive analysis in your pitch deck story? Let's find out. Now let's talk about competitive analysis. So in order to communicate your competitive advantage, you'll need to know your competition, and that's why you'll need to do a competitive analysis. Now really the objective of the analysis is to help you identify your strength and your weaknesses compared to others on the market who are offering a similar solution, and that's what many people call your competitors. And one of the fastest ways to start is to do a quick search and find out who is offering a similar product and service in your area. So if you're a local business, that would be people in your direct geographic location in your area. If you're an online business, you want to know who else is offering a similar solution online, because now people can reach international service providers. And even now in the metaverse. So in the metaverse, if you're building that business there, who else is offering a similar service or product and solution? So some of the questions you would need to be asking to do your analysis, really it starts by making that list of, first of all, identifying who they are. So start a list so you can pick the top competitors, and then write what do you know about them already. Make a list, create a chart so that you can start monitoring them and what they are doing that is different and better. And also you might want to look at their target customer. Who are they going after? Who is buying from them? Is there a way for you to stand out by serving another kind of customer? You might want to find out about their pricing method. How do they price things? Do they price it by the package? Do they price it? Is it dynamic pricing? Is it fixed pricing? What kind of pricing are they using? And is it something you want to model, or can you do something that will be different so that you can appeal to different buyers? It could also be about the marketing strategy. Try to find out what's their brand personality. Are they being the jester? Are they being the caregiver? Are they being the ruler? So try to find out what's the personality and how they're reaching their market. And you can do that right now because many of the advertising platforms are transparent, which means you can go to these competitors and find out what they're doing for marketing as well. Especially if they're already successful and they already have sales. Of course, you want to be tracking the successful companies. These will be your competitors. And you want to see what they're doing so that you can figure out what is different about your solutions. And that would be step number 6. Once you know more about them, you'll be able to figure out your competitive advantage. What is it that you're doing that they're not doing? And how are you different, or how are you better? Now, before you start making that list, I just wanted to get more clarity on how to identify your competitors, because there are going to be 2 different categories. First, you have the direct competitors, and second, you have the indirect competitors. So you get to decide how deep you want to dive in this conversation. Now, if you're talking to investors, you might want to do a bit more digging because they're probably going to ask you. But if you're a small business in your local area, this might not apply. But I just wanted to bring it up so you are aware when you're making your analysis. So when we're talking about direct competitors, these would be companies or providers that sell similar products or services. The products and services are comparable in quality, value, and the price point, and it has the same ideal customer. Whereas the indirect competitors, it could be that you're selling different products and services. The products and services might be at a different price point, but they serve as a substitute. And they also meet the same needs. They meet the same needs for the customer. So let me show you an example here. So for example, if you're going to a burger place or if you're going to a local sandwich shop, these would be direct competitors because they're both competing for your lunch money. So you can go buy a burger, you can buy a hot dog, you can buy a local sandwich, you can buy a pizza slice. These are all direct competitors because they're serving the same need, the same customer at the same time. Whereas indirect competitors, it could be different products for the same customer. So for example, let's say you're buying a gift for your mother, your wife, significant other, your girlfriend, your sister, or any of the ladies in your life. Well, you have different choices that you can get. You might want to go to an accessory store and buy them something. You could go to a fashion boutique. You can go to a jewelry store. You can buy them a gift certificate. So really, these would be indirect competitors because you need to make that purchase for one gift for one person, maybe on an an annual or on some other consistent basis. And now all of these vendors are competing to get your money so that you can come and buy from them. They're trying to convince you that their product and service is the best gift idea for that person. So now you know the difference between the direct and indirect competitors. So if you're creating that on a slide and you're talking to investors, or you're just starting, you're in the idea phase, you might just create a simple slide, just list them, show that they are on your radar. You can just say, here are our direct competitors and indirect competitors. These are the ones that we're monitoring right now to see how we can be different or better than them. It's just as simple as that. Or you can keep it high level and just talk about your direct competitors. So you'll find slides that look like this, where you just pick your top 3 and you give them the name. If they have logos already, just put them to make it more visual. Or a product, if it's a product image, put the product image there, not the logo, and write a short description so you can show that these are the companies that we're monitoring. Now, of course, on the pitch deck, you don't want to put all the data about them. It's more about showing that these are the companies that we are keeping a track and how we are comparing ourselves. Now, if you wanted to do a comparison, then you'll find many templates on the market that look like this one, where it's a competitive analysis, and you just create a table, simple table, a chart, put all the companies that are offering similar services, and then you might choose different criteria, features, or benefits, and then you can put dots to show who has that feature, who has that benefit, who doesn't, and so you can compare where you fit into that space. Or maybe you want to combine 2 different features from 2 different vendors and create something totally unique. So really, this is where doing that analysis can help you see that gap in the market so that you can fill it. So another option is you'll find many tables like this one here as well, especially for software companies, or especially products that have these features and benefits and the user is trying to make a decision. So you might as well make it easier for them, where you list them and help them make that buying decision. Now, in many cases, the buyers might not necessarily be going for the most features or maybe the cheapest or the best price product. They're probably looking for one specific feature or benefit. So even if your product has less features than other products, but maybe that's what your customer wants, then you could be focusing on it, and that could get you the sale. Because sometimes people don't want all the bells and whistles. They just want something that does one particular job. So the more you know about the market and your competition, the better you can communicate that to your audience. So creating that competitive analysis table can also help you internally and how you communicate it to your market. Now, another common slide is that matrix slide. Now, that might take you back to your high school math lessons, where you had the matrix with the X and Y axis, and you get to decide what the criteria is for the X and the Y axis, and then you get to map where the competition fits on this particular slide. So you'll find many slides on the market that prompt you to do that. Now, here's an example. You might remember this one. We looked at it earlier. This is the one that Canva used to identify their market gap. Remember how they had this 2 axes. They had the creative freedom and restrictive on one axis, and the other axis had the budget. So it's a low budget solution and a high budget solution. So they were using this same matrix diagram to show that there is a gap in the market for programs that provide more creative freedom, that are also low budget. And that's the gap they wanted to fill. And that's really now their competitive advantage, because they're able to empower many people at a low annual fee to create things that might have required thousands of dollars of software to do before. So that's a way to really communicate the market gap and also your competitive analysis and advantage. Now, if you're not sure where you stand in the market, you might want to try doing something called a SWOT analysis. Now, this is very common in the corporate world, especially for project management, and as well as corporation when they're evaluating their business and their competition. So SWOT analysis stands for strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, in many cases, you might start doing that yourself, but some companies like to hire an outside consultant or an agency to do that on them, because sometimes when you're looking at things from inside, you might not be able to see a full picture. But if you have an independent organization or consultant helping you, they'll be able to see things that you might not be aware of. Now, at a high level, really what you're answering here is the first segment is strength. So in terms of strength, the questions you're answering is what advantages does your project, company, or product have? What do you do better that from somebody else? What are your unique selling points? So if you can make a list, if they fit usually on a chart, that's a good idea. For you, you might need a longer list, but if you're presenting it as a slide, then try to keep it as to a few bullet points. The next point would be the weaknesses. It's not just about strength. It could be what areas can you improve on? What does your company, project, or product or service lack? Or what things do your competitors do better than you? Now, if you're able to talk about that and be objective and open-minded, it means you'll be able to keep an eye on the market. And unfortunately, many people don't like to focus on their weaknesses. They're only thinking of their strength, and that's why they end up missing out on some other opportunities in the market. Which brings us to the next one, which is opportunities. So the question you're looking for here is what changes in technology, in policies, in the market, in the social pattern is happening that could be a good growth potential for your particular project and company. So you need to keep them on the radar. So maybe you might have to pivot sometimes to follow these opportunities. And last but not least is threats. What are the obstacles to your company, project, or whatever it is you're working on from a growth potential? So what could be an obstacle to helping you grow and thrive? And what changing factor can threaten your company's position? So is there anything on the market, dynamics that could threaten your product, your delivery, your entire company, your project? So these are the things that you would add into the threats section. Now, even if you don't plan to use all of these details with the public, you need to be aware of them yourself. So when the question comes up, especially from investors, or it could be your management team, if you're in a project in a big organization, you are probably reporting to the big VPs and the CEO of the company. So you need to know these answers so that you can answer them. And really, you need to be showing that you are also being aware of the weaknesses and threats, not just the strength and opportunities. And the main reason you need to do that is so you can show them that you're aware of the balance, because sometimes you're always weighing, is it really worth putting all that effort, time, and money into this particular project? And this is where one of the tools that can help you weigh that and provide an answer. And it can also help you direct the conversation anytime it comes up. You might say, you know what, we are aware of our weaknesses, we are aware of our threats, but we think our strengths and the opportunities in the market right now outweigh that, and that's why we've decided to continue going. So if you bring it up, it's better than, because you know they're going to be thinking about it. So you might as well be the one that brings it up. Now, the good news is you'll never run out of opportunities to shine, because remember this cause and effect diagram that we discussed earlier. There are opportunities for you in every phase of the market cycle. So you can take your existing skills, your solutions, and repackage them to fit a new market need. So if you're aware of the competition and the competitive landscape, you'll be able to do that. But if you're not aware, then you're going to be missing out on these opportunities. And that's why it's important to have that competitive analysis, so you can't keep everything else on your radar. So in the next video, you'll learn more about competitive advantage and how to communicate that to your audience. But now, can you remember, at a high level, what is the purpose of a competitive analysis? Do you remember? Well, I'll make it easier here for you. At a high level, really, it's about just talking about your strength and your weaknesses and how do you compare to others on the market. So your action item for this section really is to start a list of vendors, providers, and suppliers who have similar solutions, so you can study them and identify gaps in the market where you can stand out. And also, if you haven't done so, conduct a SWOT analysis to identify your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And if need be, you might have to hire an outside organization if you're already in the growth stage. But in the beginning stage, really, you're doing this for yourself. So start it for yourself. Even if you don't share these slides, this is something you need to keep on your radar. So go ahead, get started, and I'll see you in the next video.